Today we're going to be talking about three major things, three urgent alerts that we're actually facing, that something is just one spark away from changing everything we know. You don't believe me? Wait till you hear these stories. We're going to talk about the Islamification of states. Texas is becoming Islamic stronghold. Wait till you hear these stories. You don't believe me. You think these conservative states are safe. They're not. We thought it's just New York. We thought it's just Michigan or Minnesota. It's not. We're going to discuss the dangers of this. It goes along with what Glenn Beck just said. It goes along with what Charlie Kirk always preached about. The most dangerous radicalization of America is Islam. We're going to discuss that. Also, we're going to hear from a doctor. A doctor is sounding the alarm on the dangers of what this did to us. Now, he's going to talk about the dangers of what it caused, along with the fact of the warning that just came out from the United States stating we're in dire straits because we're not having babies. Well, maybe they have something to do with what we just talked about. Wait till you hear this story. Also, we're seeing what socialized medicine actually is. It's amazing that we're pushing for socialized medicine. We're pushing for government-run grocery stores. We're pushing for all this government-run everything in the midst of a shutdown that actually takes away benefits from a lot of people. Isn't that funny? We're going to talk about what Canada just did with their socialized medicine, how they took something off the shelf and told you you didn't have freedom to have it. That's why it's important to grab right now, because that is coming here. And then lastly, we're going to discuss what is our plan across the world. Pete Hegseth come out with something that I'm not pleased with at all. Also, the Trump administration came out with a 50-year mortgage talk. Both of these things are not what I voted for. Wait till you hear what we're talking about. 50 years of locked to a bank with a lot of extra interest payments, and the fact of we're not looking for peace, we're looking for war. Whoa, it's a little far-fetched. Let's dive in these stories today, because this is three things we're going to be dealing with from here on out. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. If you are new, we humbly ask that you go on here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us. We're almost at 300,000. We're going to do a monster giveaway, like thousands of dollars worth of prizes. If you are not subscribed, all it takes is you subscribing, commenting below, tell us you're subscribed. Tell us where you're commenting from. Tell us where you're from in the comments below. And what we do is we put all that in a random drawing and we select a winner each and every month. And we're also going to do a second winner if we ever get to 300,000. So please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now let's dive into the story, because that's why you're here. First, let's talk about what we mean when we say urgent alert. We see three things that are affecting us the most. We see the spiritual warfare, how everybody's turning their back, and this is biblical, turning their back on Israel, but they're starting to unify and back either some form of liberal ideology of no God, or back a form of Muslims. And Muslims now have learned to just take the no God and the left and the liberal ideology and just tie it to them so they can use them for a time. What do I mean? They know that they need the votes, and they know the Democrats need the votes, so therefore they're using them to get their way, even across conservative states. Let's go through just a few little things dealing with the dangers of this Islamic state. First, let's talk about what Charlie Kirk said. This was just days before he passed. He states, what we don't realize is the urgent warning and the most dangerous thing facing America is not just leftist ideology. He said, yes, that is a major problem. He said, but it's the Islamic rule and how it looks to further its takeover of America. I want to go what Glenn Beck just said, and he was talking about in Germany, they had to shut down Christmas markets and Christmas parades and Christmas activities because Muslims were not liking it and they were destroying the markets. It says, Glenn Beck raises awareness of a small town in Germany has to cancel all their Christmas celebrations, all because the mosque was tired of it and said, this will not be tolerated. See, this is what happens when you have a tolerant religion or a tolerant Christianity or a tolerant conservatism. We start accepting all these people that do not want to assimilate, and that intolerance is going to show forth, not on our side, but on theirs. See, a Muslim came out the other day, a cleric from America said this. He said, we're taking advantage of the left and liberals because they need us. They need us to help them get in power. At the same time, we need them because they're putting us in power and they were taking over. You see how that happens? How they embrace how this, this LG alphabet junk and all this liberal ideology, and all the while they're just going to take advantage of them and ultimately show their intolerance as it keeps on going. Prime example. It says they're starting to blast Prayers in the streets in New York. Also, if you look at the pictures, I want you to go right now and look at the pictures of how many people were just saw in New York slowing down traffic. It says in front of New York's building, the Trump building in New York, it says that Muslims are showing a force. Over 500 Muslims decided to pray right there in the street, shut down all commerce, and said they will not be moved. It says we will not stand anymore for America like this. Also, your mayor that just got elected, Mamdani, when he went to Puerto Rico, all of a sudden the story was released. He started going to this. Everybody was congratulating on the win, and everybody was starting to say, Allahu Akbar. Everybody was praising Allah, talking about death to America. Is this what you want? And you're like, Colby, you're talking about liberal areas. I mean, what about the conservative areas? Well, let's go to what just happened in Texas. This is from the Houston Chronicle. It says, after nearly 2 decades of planning and construction, a vacant property near Buffalo Bayou has been transformed into a majestic 150,000 square foot Ismaili Center. The new cultural religious landmark is the first of its kind in the United States. So all of a sudden, the biggest mosque center Muslim place in America is now in Texas. This is from Alexander Duncan. It says, Texans must unite and fight against this Islamification of Texas. Texas is now one of the biggest targets of Islam. You know what's so funny? Greg Abbott, John Cornyn, go look at what they funded and how they opened doors for several Islamic temples and several Islamic handouts. Over $12 million was given to Islam in Texas to build all the things they wanted to build. Epic City didn't stop. It just maneuvered a little bit. See, here's what you don't understand. These freaking politicians are so dirty and so dangerous to you that they look for they look for money and they look for power, and they're willing to give it up at the cost of their children. That is a major danger that's happening in Texas. If Texas falls to the left or to Islam, there will never be another conservative elected to America. There will never be another majority of conservatism and Republicans in Washington, D.C. ever again. Do you realize that? That's what's happening. That's the urgent alert right there. Glenn Beck can talk about it. Charlie Kirk can talk about it. Your pastor can talk about it. But ultimately, you are seeing the fall of America all because we're wanting to just say, well, we want to be tolerant. It's freedom. We'll give them their freedom. You are so blinded if you think that that's the way that our fathers, our freedom founding fathers said. Do you remember the first battle of pirates with Thomas Jefferson? He said the dangers of the Muslim faith. He talked about the dangers of those pirates. They were Muslim pirates. And he said this will be something we have to deal with for the rest of our lives. Boy, was he right or what? Think about biblical times and how everybody's turned their face on Israel, but at the same time they're backing all this push for Muslims, even on the right. Oh, Julius of this pastor says, he predicts that Christians will be persecuted by Islam. Islam teaches that any non-believer should be harmed, murdered, or killed. Islam translates into submission, not peace. Please do not look at this religion as compatible to Western society. We need more preachers like that in the pulpits. Not scared to talk about the issues. We need more politicians that's not like, well, we'll let them build their own thing and we'll build our own thing. It's the freedom. That's not freedom because they're not assimilating. They're wanting to destroy you. Come on, folks. It's ridiculous that we embrace this assimilation and this migrant crisis that's caused this problem. Do you realize that the more we migrate people here, the more our housing crisis is, the more our food crisis is, the more that the religion of non-assimilation is. Do you realize that? We didn't gain anything by people coming over here legally or illegally. Why don't we ban everybody coming to our country that's not here already, send everyone back that should be not in our country, and just try to make it? I mean, here, we have people who can't pay for rice and beans, and they're talking about 50-year mortgages, and we want to house an extra 20 million people that's here illegally? I don't care where they're from. If they're not supposed to be here, why do we have them? And then we have this non-assimilating legal group of individuals from Muslims to Sikhs to Indians. I mean, what do we do? And we're destroying our own heritage. Isn't it amazing how the Western countries, I said this yesterday, isn't it amazing the Western countries only make up, meaning white European countries, white individuals, Caucasians, only make up about 6 to 9% of the total volume of population in the world, and somehow we're the ones that's supposed to diversify. Help me understand that. No, what we're seeing is the absolute control and devastation of our nation, and we're allowing to happen even if you have an R behind your name. I'm going to go to the second urgent alert, and this is dealing with the fact of, just listen, just prime example. This is why you have to be very, very, very careful of just government in our lives. I want you to listen to this. America is having tons of big problems, but one of the biggest that no one wants to talk about is the fact that no one's having children. It says, imagine a town slowly turning into a retirement home. No teenagers, no playground noise, and definitely no workers at the local fast food. He said, that's exactly what we're getting to. Now, I want you to think about the ramifications of no children. Think of a lot of churches. I know if you live in small communities, you see churches that, when they don't have young people and young families, those churches end up kind of going obsolete, don't they? You know what else? If you start seeing communities that are focused on retirement, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have communities focused on retirement, that means a lot of that money from retirement and taxes and all that is not going from those people. It's coming to those people. Meaning retirement places, retirement villages, retirement homes tend to have people that are wealthy that has made it. Why? Because they're not dependent on the younger ones to pay for their needs. Well, guess what? The majority of America is not living in retirement villages or retirement homes. They're living on Social Security. How is Social Security funded? So they want to tell you it's like a retirement fund that basically you pay into and it takes care of you. That is an outright lie. It's a Ponzi. What it is it makes the younger people pay into a system, and the younger people's money is what's actually paying the older people to actually have Social Security, welfare, Medicaid, Medicare, and all the benefits. It's taxing the younger to give to the older. It's a wrong system. I told you we need to fix that, but that's not this video. But without having children, that means it's less taxes coming in, so that means more taxes has to be put on the middle class, middle-aged Americans and older Americans. So that means you're going to need more government intervention in your life because no one's having kids. Now, why is that a big deal, Colby? Well, this is from a doctor. I want you to listen to this. Albert Bourla, which is a PhD, has focused on doing a lot of things when it comes to sterilization of animals, meaning Pfizer has worked on several things to make it where you don't have these just overrun animals everywhere, especially with dogs and cats and so forth. That same person has made, these that went in your arm back in 2019, 2020. Listen to this. What they realized is the 2019, 2020 thing has now sterilized millions upon millions of women. We now have clear evidence. This is just released. It says that because of this going in your arm with the RNA, if you get what I'm saying, it has crippled the capacity of humanity, and it's allowing for cells not to regenerate and help for women to actually have children. It's actually making women more sterile and men more sterile. It says it is actually taking away with people having childbearing years. It's taking the most precious thing from them from having children. So, more government in our life, more investment in our life with technology that is made by man and not God. And all of a sudden now, one of the biggest problems is we're not having kids. And kids are what keeps America going, what keeps civilization going. And if you're not having that, it's a breakdown of society. Do you realize that? Without younger people working, older people does not have the goods. Without younger people innovating and learning and building families, there is no civilization to protect you. Because guess what? You don't have 75-year-old men fighting in the army, do you? You have 20-year-old men. You see how it works? Civilization depends on people having children, people working, people providing, lineage. And they're saying America has lost its way. Not only America, every white European nation, every Asian nation. You know what? The Muslims are the only ones that are overpopulating right now. The North Africans are the only ones that overpopulate now. What does that tell you? They have one goal. They're gonna take over the world if you allow them to, because they're doing all the things, quote unquote, right for their faith, while we're the ones trying to be tolerant. We're the ones trying to listen to all the experts. And all of a sudden you start realizing 5 years later, the doctor's like, you just ruined every chance of having children ever again. You just ruined every absolutely reason, because we're realizing turbo cancers are happening more and more. You've just realized that government in your life did not make it better. Prime example, another form of government intervention dealing with socialized medicine and the dangers of government being over everything in your life. Listen to this. This is from Canada. It says, welcome to Canada, because, America tells you and Democrats tell you that Canada and other Scandinavian countries and European countries are wonderful when it comes to government-funded healthcare. How many times have you heard that from the Democrats? Well, guess what? Canada, the Canadian government just raided clinics selling anything dealing with the I word. If you know the Ivor, you know what. And so now you cannot get Ivor, you know what, at any clinic in Canada. The socialized medicine took it away. Now, we will allow for drugs to be sold on the street. We will allow for you to go and euthanize your family member. We'll go to allow you to harm your children and turn them into something they're not. But you cannot get that I word because we know that could be dangerous to you. See, socialized medicine just said you can't have certain services, but you can have certain services. Is that what you want, that dependency? Is that what you really believe is the right way? You're a slave to the problem. I want you to listen to what was just said by Neil Oliver. And I love what he said here. He said, I firmly believe that the objective is to keep the population on edge, constantly anxious about everything that's coming next. Fear of disease, fear of anxiety, engineered shortages of money, deliberate shortages of reliability, no affordability when it comes to energy, existential fear of what the world is doing, the wars around us. The antidote is fear, and all of a sudden, if you give knowledge and wisdom to fear, then you all of a sudden come over it and you can make it. But what the world wants, what the governments want, what the big players want is you to live in fear. See, the reason I tell you all these stories is because that's what they're trying to get you to do. Focus on what the government can help you do. Focus on the government helping you do this and doing this. Instead of taking herbs and normal medicines and putting emergency medicines up for safety like the I word, instead of growing your own food, let the government do it all for you. Instead of doing like Christian healthcare and where you work together to pay for health bills for each individual person. Instead of doing health savings accounts, let government take that over. Instead of allowing for you to have freedom of Christianity, let the government say you have freedom of religion and we'll allow all religions to build here. But for some reason, we're going to subsidize and fund Muslims in Texas, but not the Christian church. We want fairness. What government is doing is actually putting us in more of peril and more fear so they can control us easier. You don't believe me? Listen to these two stories. I'm not happy with this. As a conservative who voted for Trump, who loves what a lot of the Trump administration is doing, I don't like these next two policies. Listen to what Pete Hegseth just said. This goes along with what Neil Oliver said about fear, striking fear in people, making them believe that the government is always the answer. This is from Hegseth. I did not like this at all. To me, words have meaning, and this is not good. We are not preparing for a period of peace. Instead, we are shifting the Pentagon to a military-industrial base into actual states of war. The moment feels like 1939 or I hope at least 1981. Enemies are gathering and threats are mounting. You feel it, I feel it, so we're going to be ready. Now, do I want our military to be ready and to face the dangers? Absolutely. But I don't know if I would ever say that we're looking for war and not peace. That's not really what Trump has been talking about lately, huh? I didn't like that statement. That actually, to me, strikes more fear in Americans to say, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Second part, they just came out with what they call the 50-year mortgage. They're starting to work on. This is not good. Do I want people to own houses and to have the American dream? Yes. But do you realize if you get a 50-year mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, you're already double buying your house. A 50-year mortgage, you're going to be almost triple paying your house. Because instead of doing a flat rate interest across the board where you pay a certain amount per month, a certain amount of principal per month, it's amortized to where you pay all interest up front and then the principal at the very back end. Meaning for a typical house that's $300,000 or $400,000 at 6%, you're going to be paying $1.2 to $1.4 million for that house. You will be a slave to the government and to the lenders, the banks, for 50 years. 30 years is already too much, but 50 years is ridiculous. And I think Trump is completely wrong on this aspect. What did I say earlier? If you learn to take all the people, if you put a moratorium on people coming to America, and you start deporting all the people that's not supposed to be here, you start sending the people back that has all these passes, green cards, and all this refugee status, start sending them back. If you take 15 to 20 million people and take them and put them back in the nations that they came here from, I believe housing and food crises will probably get better because ultimately there are going to be less people here buying those things, correct? That would probably solve a lot of problems. On top of that, if you tell Congress to quit spending all our money, that may help too, huh? So the answer is not, well, we need more war and we need more 50-year mortgages. That means the banks are going to get richer and you're a slave to the lender. We don't need socialized medicine because all of a sudden we realize the government shutdown now, it's not helping anybody. So all this answer that we're getting, all these urgencies that we're getting is government saying that they can heal every situation for you. And what we're realizing from this in the arm to 50-year mortgages to the Texas Republicans letting more Islam come into Texas, you're realizing that government is screwing your life up more, correct? Let's go back to what Neil Oliver said. The more that they cause chaos and crises, the more you rely on them. Constant states of fear make you rely on government. Do you remember, I know 2020 seems so long ago, but do you remember people would line up in their cars? They were shut down stadiums, and people were driving through, getting this in their arm without getting out of their car. Do you remember that? Do you remember people fighting over toilet paper? Do you remember that gas, no one would buy gas because nobody would go to the stores. They were scared to even touch each other. They were scared to even talk to each other. Boy, have we lost our way. I think government loved it. I think big business and this world reset movement loved that time because they showed fear and strike fear in people. And then when they strike fear in people, it allowed them to control them. These three problems, from this spiritual war that we're fighting, to government overreach in insurance and medicine, to literally the answer being government for mortgages and for crises, what we're realizing is none of this is the right answer. The right answer is your independence, your freedom, your availability to have skills, your availability to take care of your family, your ability to know what wants and needs are, your ability to take care of your family, your ability to get your spiritual house in order. God is allowing it to happen. My gosh, we're seeing times now where it's either you're going to have to make a decision either to follow Christ and His way or follow the world and its ideology. There's no more playing games. I tell my children all the time, it's time to put our big boy pants on and realize we're not growing up in a picket fence, easy world anymore. You kids are going to have to face a lot of things. And in homeschooling, part of what they're learning is how to be smart in some of the decisions they have to make, not just with math and language arts and science. Is to learn history and learn from history and start saying, okay, we're not going to repeat this for our family. We have to change. The answer is not 50-year mortgages. The answer is not government health care. The answer is not bringing this religion into America. The answer is wisdom and common sense, and get back to basis of family structure that can help us mend America and heal America again. Think back, if we could go back to some of those times in history and just say, you know what? We should want to grow our own food. We should want to have independence. We should not want to be in debt. All those things are good. We have a crisis where we're not having kids anymore. Well, we probably are not having kids anymore because we realized this right here caused a lot of problems. And we trusted them, didn't we? Don't just trust these players, because there may be some ulterior motive, especially when it comes to Islam. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. It's not meant to scare you. It's actually meant to wake you up, because these things are meant to make you fear, and the government wants you to fear so they can be in control. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to learn from these things and be better, then you're dangerous, but you're independent. Let me know your thoughts today. God bless.